Hi, this is Amy Hooper. I'm going to be taking you through your self-paced training for Interact with Google Slides. So the first thing we're going to go over the learning targets, but if you notice on my learning targets, everything is underlined and kind of in that blue color. So actually every single learning target that you see here has a hyperlink. So if I click on create links between slides, for example, it's going to take me to the next slide that has to do with creating links between slides. So you can do this as kind of like a table of contents, but I'm also going to show you how you can use it in other ways. So basically, whenever you click on one of these links, it'll automatically take you to the slide that it coordinates with as far as the topic is concerned. So let's go ahead and go back over here to learning targets. So as you can see, I've already linked learning targets to go back to the previous slide. So if I just, instead of hitting the arrow, I can click here, takes me back. We're gonna go forward. I have works the same as a hyperlink. So how do you create this hyperlink? I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna exit out of my present mode. If I highlight over works the same, it shows me that I have a link here. But I am going to click on it so that it comes up. It's linked to a document. So this is a great way that you can take the URL from your document, like I did here, and you can use it as a hyperlink. And so whenever a student or whoever were to click on this, it would take them to that document. It's something you could use, for example, for a worksheet. So you could put everything that you need in a Google slide. We can import images, we can link articles. We can also import videos from YouTube. So you could, on just one Google slide, have a YouTube video that they watch, maybe a link to an article they need to read, and lastly, also a link to the assignment that they need to complete. Now, for the Google Doc that I put here, the URL, I want you to notice at the end it says copy. I automatically type copy there so that students would be basically forced to create their own copy to work in. As you might have seen other trainings we've done, you can easily change exactly what you want the Google Doc to be able to do. If I want someone to just be able to view it, I'm going to delete view and I'm going to type, or delete copy rather, I'm sorry, and type view. If I want someone to have access to edit it, then I delete view and I type edit. And then the person has the ability to edit the document, but the document is only one document that I started, so the edits would show up on mine. If you want someone to have their own copy that they edit that doesn't change your original, then you would type copy at the end, go ahead, highlight it, control copy that or command copy, go back to your slides and paste it in as a link. So for this example here, I'm going to show you how I'm going to take this link, click on it, say I don't want this link anymore. I'm going to remove the link. And we could actually set it up so that the link takes them someplace completely different. Let's say you wanted it to have maybe access to the calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and copy my calendar. Again, I'm going to highlight, right? And then there's two things you can do. You either can hit Command K, or you can come up here and you can hit the insert link, and I can just paste in my calendar. I'm going to take it out because the other things you can do is it shows up here is you can link to the next slide in this particular slideshow. You could have it go back to the title slide, and you could link it to other PowerPoints that or Google slide presentations that we have been working on. So if you want to connect to another slide, maybe let's say here, I see on the side here, I have slide number 5. If I wanted this link to go to slide 5, I'm just going to type in slide 5. I'm going to click on the slide 5, and then that's the one that it's going to go to. So if I click slide 5, it'll now take me to this one of my examples for doing a self-assessment this way. All right, so let's go back to this slide. So what's it's gonna kind of tell you is, as what I already said, is that you can link basically anything. So you can link another slide presentation if you want to. It could be a Google Doc like I originally showed you. Basically anything with a URL link, or even slides within this presentation. You can just type in slide, whatever number it is, and it will link it. So a lot of teachers have used this for choose your own adventure assignment. I'm going to show you personally how I do it with a self-assessment, or more like a self-paced kind of student-led type of learning. If you want to learn more about a choose your own adventure assignment, look at the note that's going to pop up in Edpuzzle. It'll give you the link that is right here for you to click on, and you can go learn more about it. But for time purposes, I'm going to just go on to my next slide, which is the beginning of my example self-assessment. Now, even though I am from more of an English, language arts, social studies background, I thought I would do a little bit of math here. So taking a look, I set up in 2 columns on this layout. We have the question on the left, a list of answers on the right. They're all hyperlinked. They all take you to a different slide. So, for example, the very next slide is going to be for answer A, kite. I'm going to say kite just to kind of show you what happens. Obviously, kite is not the correct answer. It tells you that. It also tells you to go back to the previous slide. Now, I could just hit the arrow and go back, but what if it's one of the other answers that takes you down to like slide 4 or 5 and you need to go back? Well, now you easily just hit the hyperlink that's linked to that previous slide, and it takes me back to the question and the answers again. All right, so I'm getting another try here to get it right, and I think I can do it this time. I'm going to go ahead and select rhombus. That is the correct answer. You can type whatever you want to under your answers, but then it also tells me to click here. It means that I got this correct. I can move on to the next question. So it's been linked to the slide that would be that would host the next question for the self-assessment. So I'm going to click there, and there you go. It takes you to a new question that's kind of like the other one, but different. So that's just an example of how you can link slides so that maybe you could create a self-assessment. This is something that could be used in person in class for students to work on their own time, or it could be something that's done remotely or maybe assigned as a homework assignment. But you can kind of pick and choose where and how you might want to use it. So I want you to go ahead and pause and reflect for a moment. Answer the question here on Edpuzzle. The video won't advance until you do answer the question. So please make sure you put in a good response. But just think about, how might you use the ability to hyperlink um, words or whatever else in a Google slide presentation to either take you to another slide in that presentation, perhaps to create maybe a self-assessment. Would you maybe try to create a choose your own adventure, or is there something else you could think of that could do for you? All right, so I am going to launch into using the Explore feature. I've already kind of used it here. I'm going to show you exactly how I changed up the layout of my PowerPoint, how I imported a picture of a rose here. So your Explore button, sometimes it shows up in yellow, but it is this little kind of square with a little star in it. This is Explore. When I hit Explore, it's going to open up a little side screen for me. This is what my slide looks like currently on the left, but here are some options on the right. And because I imported this photo, actually using Explore, I imported this photo. Now it's incorporating the photo that I imported, and I can just kind of change where I want my rose to show up. This is a kind of an interesting one. I haven't seen this one before. So all of these show the full photo of the rose, maybe a little cropped, but this one kind of shows the rose in a particular shape, which I think is kind of cool. So you can go ahead and scroll through and change the layout. Now, what about the images that I put in here? Well, I use Explore for that. There's no need to go up and open another tab. And there's no need to like download the image to your computer and then upload it using the insert option over here for image. You can simply go over here. And what I want to type is images. And then it's going to give me a few different options. It's going to give me a Google web result of if I were to search images. You could also do something else. Let's do rows since that's what's there. And the web is then going to tell me, it's going to give me some Wikipedia, it's going to give me some information. So, I mean, this is a really great feature for students to use. You could even put questions in and have them be able to do research right using the Explore feature. I'm going to go to images now. Images, of course, because I have rows typed in here, is going to give me a lot of options for some more rows photos. If I wanted to use one of these rows photos, all I'm going to do, or images, is I'm going to click on it and drag it on over. And of course, they like to give you large images, so we're going to kind of resize that. And there we go, we can import into our slide. Drive is the last option here. That's just photos that you already have stored in your drive. If I was to click on that, it would show me everything of the photos that I have. And of course, you could do the same thing as drag and import them, drag and drop them into your slide presentation. All right, so now that we've kind of focused all on images. Oh, one other thing. You can see here from this image, it's giving me actually the link to where that rose image was found. Like hyperlinking, you can hyperlink images as well. I know that I'm going to show you that later, kind of, but if, like, for example, the rows that I had from the previous layout, even though I changed it, I had it linked to this website. So you could easily go to anything. So I'm going to say Rose Poem, and you can change the link on the image so that it takes you to something. So maybe we want to take a look at some classic and contemporary Rose poems. I'm going to open up that link. I'm going to go ahead and copy the link. I'm going to go back to my slide. And for this image here, I'm going to remove the link I previously had. And now, since it is outlined with the blue boxes for you to able to resize or move, it also gives you the option to put a link on that image. So I'm going to paste in my new link. And now if you were to click up here on it, it's going to give you that option, and then just drop down here and click on the link and go to that outside article. All right, let's go back into present mode and give you guys time to kind of reflect on the explore option. Think about, what do you think the best benefit or greatest benefit of the explore feature is? Is it just being able to change the layouts? Is it being able to find images, search the web for information, even have access to your drive? So please make sure you respond to this question. You won't be able to move forward in the end puzzle until you do. All right. So, as I said earlier, I kind of showed you about clickable images with the roses, but let's just watch a short video. This person also demonstrates kind of how maybe if you use Bitmoji, how you could use Bitmoji, make clickable links within the Bitmoji, and make it a little bit more interactive for your students.
Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to turn an image into a link. So this would work well for like a class library where you had a number of books and you wanted each book to take you to a link to a read aloud. So I'm going to select the books on the couch. And so the blue box is around it. And I'm going to go to Insert, Link. And now I'm going to go to the read aloud that I've selected as appropriate for my class. And I'm going to copy and paste the URL. And it's easy as that. Now the books are a clickable link. So you can either make a copy for each student and share it with your class that way, or you can download as a PDF. Don't print to a PDF, download as a PDF. And then once it downloads, you have a clickable link. So it's as easy as that.
All right, let us move forward. So we are going to be taking a look at using some extensions called Moat and Record to Slides first. If you notice, if I'm in my present mode and I'm going to X out of my Explorer, you'll see down here, I actually already have a recording that I previously did. That is a Moat recording. Moat is available right up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Moat. If you haven't done the accessibility of the extensions training, or you aren't really knowledgeable of extensions, I guess first of all, extensions are found by going over here to, let me click on this link. Over here, the Rainbow Waffle apps should be to the left of your MSD bookmarks. The web store is right here. And Moat is one of the ones that has been kind of marked as preferred by the Marysville School District. So that shows up here that we're looking at all the ones that have been verified by Marysville School District. Bitmoji is also here if you're ever interested in exploring a little bit more about Bitmoji. But we're focusing on Moat. Moat's available here. I'll give you a link to it in the Ed Puzzle. But let's go ahead and go back. What you've added Moat is your extension. All your extensions show up under your little puzzle piece here to the left of your profile pic. Right next to them, these are all the extensions that I have pinned that I use on a daily basis. Moat is already here as a pinned one. How you pin and unpin, I go into more depth in other trainings, but basically, it's just the little pins here. If I click on it and make it blue, Bitmoji is now going to show up as um, one of my pinned extensions. If I come down here to Chromoji and I click it to unpin it, it's going to disappear from my list of widely used or frequently used extensions. So going back to my Google slide presentation, once I've added Moat as an extension, it's going to show up, and it's actually going to show up like really everywhere. Moat's also available on Google Classroom. It'll show up in the little comment section. And what I think it's really good for is giving verbal feedback. If you're ever tired of just like typing all your feedback when you're grading papers to students, you can actually just record your voice of and saying, "Hey, great job! I really like what you did here," or maybe this could use a little bit more, effort or tweaking, whatever the case may be. Let's go ahead and use Moat briefly here. So I'm going to click on it. This is going to pop up here for me to record my Moat. When I'm ready to start recording, I'm going to click the M. I'm going to start talking, and as soon as I start talking, then the little lighter purple flashes about. If I'm quiet, it'll stop. And then I also have the option to stop the recording altogether, to pause it if I won't have an interruption or something. But we're going to go ahead and click the little arrow button. And now it's thinking about what I just recorded. Oh, it's already done. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's really quick. I can play it to listen to myself. I can delete it. Once it gets back or to the end here, there's 18 seconds. You can hit this and it'll start it back over again if you want to kind of re-listen to it. I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. Excuse me. I'm just going to take some time. I'm going to drink some water while it's doing that. It's creating my audio. I'm going to have two options here. Right over here, you can see the gray. That's kind of automatically produced by Google Slides. If you want it to show up as the purple, you want to hit replace. I'm just going to X out of it because one thing that I like to do is I kind of like to be able to control. And when you're using the gray version that Slides produces, it gives you some more of those formatting options within Slides, which is kind of nice. So you can make it so that when you click on the slide that the recording starts, or you could choose to have it automatically start. So as soon as it gets to that slide where the recording is at, it'll automatically start playing. And I think the recordings are nice because if even if you're, I know we're kind of teaching in person, but if you were to maybe give the slides as an assignment, think about back to the self assessment. Maybe you want to add a slide in there that's a little bit more information about what they're going to be doing with the self assessment. You could have some verbiage for them to read, but you could also have a voice recording of things that you want to kind of explain maybe a little bit more in depth about what you want them to do. So that's kind of some great features about Mode. The next one we have is record to slides. Record to slides, the little blue video camera up here. Sometimes it's challenging for me, but we're going to go ahead and click on it and see what happens. So, oh, it's worked perfectly. So I have a camera here. If I go ahead down here, hit the green, it's going to now allow me to record. And it kind of has maybe a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. So when I'm done recording, though, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. And it's going to give me the recording that I just did. To my left, now it's on my right, is the recording that it will insert into the Google Slide. So you can go ahead and hit play and listen to yourself. I'm not going to do that. You can share it out to something else. You can select who can actually view this video. It could be anyone in public, anyone in the Marysville School District domain, or you can even make it private. You can turn the microphone on or off for this. And then when you are done, um, you can also kind of control some of the microphones and FaceTime cameras that it's using. But when you're done with it, you can go ahead and hit OK. It's going to insert the video into the slide, or at least it should. Oh, let's go back. Oh, and there's the video right there. It's kind of hard to see with it having a black background. But again, just like with Moat, you can move the video around. Um, and you can control like the playback on it. Um, so it's still in the process of formatting the video, so it's not gonna quite let me. But you, once it is formatted, it will let you kind of create the start and stop time of the video. And it basically gives you all those other formatting options that you can do with like YouTube videos within your Google Slide presentation. The one other one that I did not, sorry, talk about is full screen interactive. This one is nice because when you're in present mode, such as this, you cannot actually type on your Google Slides. So there's a typo, or maybe you want to make it a little bit more interactive, or there's something that you want. Now my video is formatted. You can see in the bottom left. But maybe there's something you want to change about your Google Slides. Up here is my full screen interactive Google Slides. I'm going to click on that and it's automatically going to bring me back to present mode. But if you notice, instead of like the regular present mode where you don't have some of these options up here, it's not showing the tabs anymore, but you still have the ability to do some inserting, formatting, all kinds of those other things. And it's kind of hard to see it from this view because you're still viewing my screen. But to a audience that was looking at this presentation, they wouldn't see all this up here. They would just see a normal presented PowerPoint or slides presentation. So to them, you're just presenting, but for you, you still have the ability to make some corrections or alterations. So you can, ooh, you can still edit the slides, even though you're presenting. So that's another extension that I love that makes, you gives you the ability to interact more with the slides, even if you're in the kind of the present mode. So we are going to move on. All right. Um, so editing themes and creating master slides. I will put this link again up in the notes section, but Google does a really great job, Google support, of explaining some of their abilities and what you can do as far as creating, changing the theme or the background in Google Slides. So this is a really great tool to check out, but just quickly within my own Google slide, I'm going to show you. Up here we have, and you've seen on the left some of the formatting options, but there's more when it comes to slides. So slides, you've probably used some of this before. New slide, you can copy a slide if you want to look exactly the same, delete. You Sometimes you may want to delete a slide completely. Sometimes you may just want to skip over it for that particular, viewing of it. So you can always use skip slide. You don't lose the slide there, but it just doesn't show when you present. You can move slides around, up, down, move them back to the beginning, to the end. You can change the background of the slide. Sometimes you might want to do different layouts. Sometimes I've talked about the two column that you can use, which is here. Sometimes you might want to have kind of a more of a main point. Sometimes you may want to have like maybe a main point or some other custom layout, but there's a lot of options. There's also the ability to do different transitions between slides. You can edit themes and you can change themes. When I look at changing themes, it just gives me the availability of all the different themes over here. So if I wanted to change it to a different one, I could. Going back to slides, if you want to edit the theme, you can click edit. And basically, what edit theme allows you to do is sticking with the theme that you have, you can basically apply different types of features to a master one that will then apply it to all future slides that you do. So, again, this one's a little bit, I would say, a little bit more higher up as far as, tech, and I don't find it that people use it as much. If you want to know more about it, I definitely suggest going to Google support for a little bit more on that. But for time purposes, let's keep moving along. And so we're going to talk about manage add-ons. So again, I'm going to exit out of present mode. I'm going to show you where to find your add-ons. They're right up where like slide, format, tools, right next to it is add-ons. As you can see, I have 3 add-ons already added to my Google Slides. So these just help you kind of like connect different applications right within your Google Slides. So you could maybe do Nearpod, you can open up Pear Deck. I use Slido a lot. Slido is great for asking questions that students have to answer. It's kind of like Kahoot in a sense, where it gives you, and let me open up in the sidebar here, it gives you the ability to kind of give them a code that they go to, they enter, and then they have access to this Slido question. And so it could be just like a quick check-in with students, see where they're at. Of course, it's going to make me log in. You can do like the word clouds out of this. Maybe kind of a poll to see, what students are voting, which way, if you're having them kind of make a class decision. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with Slido. While that's loading, let's go back and take a look at if you wanted to add your own add-ons. So down here, it says to get add-ons. We're going to open up that. And then it's going to give you a whole list of different add-ons. And so you can kind of type your topics, your content, try to find ones that maybe match more with what you're teaching. And of course, it's not loading up because, oh, there we go. So some of the ones that I have, as I said, Paradeck, Nearpod is great. Lucid Chart, we'll be talking a lot more about Lucid Chart in the future. There's Math Type. There's all kinds of different ones that you can add. As you can see, I've got Slido. You can add to your Google Slides. Ooh, icons. I might want to check that out another time. You can also manage your add-ons. That simply means being able to kind of delete or get rid of the ones that you no longer want or no longer use. All right, so I'm gonna log into my Slido account, hopefully to give you guys kind of a glimpse. I don't know, I used to have Poll Everywhere, so I don't know if other people have used Poll Everywhere with their Google Slides, but it's really similar to that. Again, you can just set up questions, multiple choice, and allow students to kind of go to slido.com, put in the code, kind of like with Kahoot, and then they have the ability to answer the questions. Like, it looks like I have an existing poll right here. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now, apparently, in the past, I had a question about what extension do you like best? As you can see on the right, it's remembering the response to that poll. So previously there was a split between Moat and Record Video. I had two people. And you can choose to present your PowerPoint with Slido, but Slido will automatically create this slide for you and insert it into your slide. You can go ahead and choose to create maybe a new interaction and choose from the different ones they have. As I said, multiple choice, open text. You can have people's what they have to say, their opinions kind of pop up. You can do a word cloud. You could do a rating, so they score which maybe something that they like the best, or rank it in order. And then also the ability to create quizzes as well. So, another thing about joining instructions is that not only does it give you the code for Slido, they'll also create a QR code for that for students to easily access the question as well. All right. So let us continue on. Now that we've talked about a little bit about add-ons. So which add-on or extension do you think is most beneficial and why? I mean, this could obviously be based upon your content area or grade level, but just take a moment to reflect on that. Again, you do need to answer the question before we move on with the Ed puzzle. And we will move on in a second. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. A few things. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but I just want to point out that besides our add-ons, besides our extensions, Google links things within other Google apps. So for example, you have your calendar right here. There's no need to click on another tab or to find your calendar if you need to find a date or something while you're working in your Google slide. Same thing with Google Keep, a really great place for storing notes and whatnot. And then another favorite of mine is Tasks, where you actually maybe you're working on this Google Slide PowerPoint. It's getting late in the day or night or the weekend, and you're not quite done with it, but you want to come back to it. Maybe it might be just a good thing to jot down here under tasks, still the things that you need to accomplish within this Google Slide. So highly suggest just using these over here instead of opening up other tabs or trying to find them elsewhere. It just makes kind of your work go a little bit easier, a little bit more, time friendly too. Um, yeah. And then we're also going to talk about publishing and sharing. So, what's kind of the difference between the two? Um, so, before I showed you with this document over here how you can easily um, force it to either have people create copies, force it so people can edit or just view, but you can also type in share. And that kind of avoids you having to use this share feature over here. However, you may want to get into the share button just to make sure your share options are set the way that you want them to be. So for example, here I have it set so that it's restricted so that only people with this link um, will be able to open it. Now that I put share in, more people should be able to open it. But what I want to make sure is that even though I've hit share or type share up above, I want to click on share with Marysville School District so that anybody with the link can actually have access to it. The other thing that you might want to do is you might want to be able to change whether or not they can just view it, they're allowed to comment on it, or if they can actually edit the document. And then over here, we could go back to it being restricted like it was before. I'm going to keep it on the Marysville School District, but also you can make it so that anyone with the link, so as long as you share that link out, anyone, regardless of what domain they have, so it doesn't matter if they're with the school district or not, they have access to that document as well. The last thing that I find kind of important, and that's being able to publish it. And why do you want to publish things to the web? Well, it makes it so that you can easily create the publish link. And then that within itself kind of avoids that whole issue of who has access to it. Is it restricted or not? Once you publish something, it is then generated for the public to see and to view as long as they know the link to it. So under file here, and this is with any Google application, so docs, sheets, drawing, whatever forms, you should be able to go here under file, go down to where it says publish to the web. I've already created a publish, so it's actually already published. You can stop publishing if you don't want it published to the web anymore. But here's your link here. You can go ahead and copy this. And this is something you could easily use, for example, if you are a teacher for some of the younger grades, like Clever. In Clever, you're allowed to create or kind of insert your own link, and then it creates a little circular icon with different pictures. If you wanted to take students to a Google slide without explaining how to get there or where to click links, you could easily embed this published link into your Clever, into one of the little button icons, have the student click on that button icon, and then this link would take them to the published version of this Google slideshow. Then within that Google slideshow or Google Slides presentation, you could do some of the things we talked about earlier here, such as making clickable images to take them to other places. Click on the cat, click on the books, uh, click on the rose, even. And that just kind of makes it easy with having the publishing. It makes it easier for younger kids and Clever using clickable images and whatnot in Google Slides presentation. Makes it easier for younger kids to be able to click on things and have it take them to other places that you might want to direct them to on the internet. All right, so I think that just about wraps up my Google Slides presentation. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Present mode, options, Q&A, and closed captions. I think maybe I went kind of out of order of my table of contents. I'm not sure. But up here we have present mode. If we hit present, it's going to obviously go into the present mode. I'm going to just click out of that for a moment. We're going to go over here to the little arrow right to the right of present. We're going to click on that. That's going to give us presenter view. Presenter view, I highly recommend if you're doing Google Meet and presenting a Google slide presentation. It also has the Q&A option. Why do I say that? Well, you could be having a Google Meet open over here on your normal tab over here. But when it comes to Google Meet, if I have a Google Meet open, this tab for my Google Slides that I'm presenting has to be up and presented so that the people in my Meet can see it. I can't see the people though that I'm presenting to. So the one way around that is that under this tab, for example, let's just pretend I have a Google Meet open. And instead of toggling back and forth between my slideshow that I'm presenting and my Google Meet over here, I just have my presenter tab open here. I can still see what I'm presenting. I can still move forward or backwards in my slides, but I can also still see the people or students, for example, that I'm presenting to and know exactly what is happening and going on in my Google Meet, even though I'm in present mode with my Google Slide presentation. Some of the other tools under here would be the audience tools. You can go ahead and start a Q&A session. The Q&A session means that like while you're presenting, instead of having to maybe monitor the chat, questions would show up over here in your presenter view, so that you could actually see maybe what questions are being asked. It'll do what Kahoot does, or what Slido does. It'll give them a link to go to and a special code that they type in, and they'll have access to your presentation and be able to send questions to your presentation, and that's how you would see them here. Okay, and closed captions is the other thing. So closed captions actually shows up, and I don't know if I'm going to be able, let me shrink there we go. So down the bottom left, you'll see the number slide you're on. You can advance and go back on this way through on your Google Slides as well. It also gives you this option menu to pop up. And I'm going to go to captions preference here. And you can choose where the text is positioned, what size it is. And right now it's only available in English, unfortunately. Hopefully Google will come out in the future with more languages. But as you can see here, it is giving the closed caption of what I am saying. So this is a really great feature, I think, for students who maybe are hard of hearing, maybe just have a hard time understanding spoken English. And now with this, they could actually see the words that are being spoken. And it might even be something that's beneficial that if you were to record your PowerPoint presentation, just like I did, or your Google Slides presentation, having closed caption on the entire time might be nice for some students if they are reviewing this slide on their own at home. All right, I think my last slide was about the viewer mode. However, I kind of jumped ahead of myself and already covered that. So we're going to just jump right into our last question here, pause and reflect. What are the benefits, do you think, of the Q&A feature, the closed captions? And if you are a fan of Google Meet like I am, do you see the benefits maybe in using that view tab option with Google Meet, so that you can still see your participants as you're presenting your slideshow? So please make sure you answer the question before we finish up this training. I will also put in the note pop up on Edpuzzle link to the evaluation. Please fill it out because each training is different. And of course, there will also be the link to attendance as well.